Hi guys, I'm Adam and welcome back to my channel where I make a tabletop role-playing game from scratch on camera with every little detail. Before we start off this episode, I want to challenge you. You see, you might have noticed that I haven't started in the beginning of this book. I mean, we're actually halfway through this book already. And the reason is that, well, I've used this book quite a lot before this. I have a lot of stuff. It's ideas and prep notes and yeah, just a lot of stuff that I've used for role-playing games and world building and room making and drawing art. It's a lot of stuff. Now, as you might notice, there's 96 pages right here. There's 96 pages, and so I challenge you to give me 96 likes. The first video that I get that has 96 likes, then I'll release a video where, well, I go through all the 96 pages and tell you what's there. I'm not going to go into detail on everything, but yeah, the interesting parts. As I said in the end of last episode, I was going to look onto this chart here and see if I found something interesting. And I did. It is this inner entrance. I called it the Bailey entrance in the video, but now I just call it the inner entrance. And later on, when I'm remodeling or revisiting the whole castle, I'll just clump these two together and call them just the entrance. But that's just small details. Anyways, the thing that I think is interesting right here is that the players will learn how to do exploration. And I'll tell you about that later. But first of all, I'm going to tell you the one thing that this here helps me with, and that is the problem that I had in the entrance that I have in episode 10 here. I have a problem here that I didn't tell you about because it wasn't really part of the video, but there's a major flaw in this castle design. And the major flaw is that, well, the two dials that are in each of these two towers that control these portals right here, I have them drawn here. You see these dials, they're in these two rooms or these two castle towers, and they are controlling these here portals and will eventually focus, with the player's help, focus a large portal and create it right here at the entrance. And I have as you can see here, this is the entrance, the gateway to to Everhollow, and you will have this Twilight Realm that you just enter into. Now, the big problem that I have here is that, well, these portals are on the outside, and, well, it's like having your keys under the doormat, which is very bad if you're actually being invaded by an army. So if an enemy comes along and gets a hold of this place here and sieges this place, then they'll have direct access to the entrance and can just walk straight in. And that is a major flaw in this castle design. And so I was wondering, how can I fix this? What can I do to make this better? And that is when I came up with the solution that is the inner entrance here. Now, I drew this beforehand, mostly because I needed to note down all the ideas that I had, but I'll walk you through it. So here you can see this is the entrance. This is the gatehouse, which is right here. That's the gatehouse right there. And then you have the Zwinger right here, this part. And then you have the two towers there, which are there. And each of them have this green X, which is the two portal focusing contraptions. I need a better name for it, but the two dials that will focus the portal. And this is the green here, this green line right there, that is the portal itself. So the players will walk in here and then turn on these two dials to make that green portal appear, and then they can enter into the inner entrance. Now, as you can see here, this is how it's physically going to be in this gateway here. So here you have the castle wall. It's a thick wall right here. And then you have the entrance portal, which is this one right there. And then this red part here, that is the Twilight Realm or Twilight Dimension. So the players will walk in here and then open up this portal, the green portal, then enter into the Twilight Realm, and then exit the Twilight Realm into the inner entrance through this blue portal. Now, this is a solution to how you would handle a siege from an invading army. You would then firstly have these two portals here open to get your armies in and out and do whatever you're supposed to do. But if the enemy is able to breach here and take hold of this entrance area, then those that are guarding these two towers, they will probably just deactivate the entrance. Maybe even if they're desperate, they'll destroy the dials, the portal focusing devices, so that the portals won't work at all. But if that fails and the enemy is able to get a hold of these two dials and actually open up this portal right there, then you have a safeguard, which is this portal on the other side. If this portal on the other side right there isn't open, then you're just stuck. You can just walk over here and then there's nothing. It's just you can't exit into the real world again. You're just stuck in the Twilight world right there. And this gave me the interesting idea of having these two dials somewhere. It doesn't matter where. But these two blue dials, which functions exactly like the green ones, that they produce a gate or a portal like this. And then for the players to move into the outer bailey or the inner bailey, as you might see here, this is the area we're working on. So you enter into the entrance right here. This is the inner entrance, and then you can enter into the outer bailey or into the inner bailey right here. And this is where we are at here. You can either enter into inner bailey or the outer bailey, which I drew here. Okay. So yeah, a lot about portals right here. Anyways, so these two dials, they can then move this gate, this portal, this blue portal. And the idea is that these two dials, dial 1 and dial 2, can set the portal to be either at gate 1, 2, or 3. So you can move this portal from here to here to here. Any of these will work. But the thing is that if you do so, then, well, the portal will be at that position and not the other one. So, for instance, if the players walk in here, this green one is open, and the blue one is open right here. I'll set it up so that it luckily or super conveniently, this blue gate just happened to be in this exact position when the players entered. So the players can enter straight through here, and then they'll notice these two dials and say, okay, well, we'll have to change these two dials to get to one of these two gates and move forward. And when they move these dials, the gate will move from here to maybe here. And yes, now you can enter into the outer bailey through the blue portal right here and the purple portal on the other side. But you've also closed off this portal. And so each and every time they'll have to want to walk somewhere, they'll have to change these dials and in order to exit and enter and so on. Now, this makes much sense in a castle design, because then there's only one way to open on each of these sides of the inner bailey, the outer bailey, the entrance and the inner entrance will have one portal each. And that also means that you're able to just lock off these portals if you're on that side of the wall. So if somebody has breached the outer bailey but not the inner entrance, then the inner entrance here, they can just shut down the portal here and maybe move it over to the inner bailey or something, so that the enemy can't move in from this direction because the blue portal is over here. And if they breach from the green side, they cannot do it either. And the only way to actually get from one place to the other, from either here, this direction, or this direction, the only way to do it is if both portals are open on each side. And well, that's a very convenient castle design mechanic. But for the players themselves, this is also a very interesting idea, because this here makes the whole encounter here teach the players that there exists this I'm calling it the Skyrim dungeon design loop, or dungeon loop design, because you know the I talked about this the last episode as well. The typical Skyrim dungeon, if you, let's say that the keep here has the big bad guy and the treasure and everything, and then you start at the entrance, you walk in here, and you have to fight your way through all the other enemies and the Draug and all the different things and get all the loot and so on, and then you get to the keep, you defeat the final boss, you get the treasure, and just by pure luck the treasure room has that one key that opens up that one door that leads you straight into the entrance, so that you don't have to backtrack all the way around. And this is again another part of this here that will solve this problem, because what will happen here is that these two dials, they can move to one of these three move the portal from one of these three locations, but we'll just say that the portal from the inner bailey is closed, so this one isn't there, right? So that means that the players, they have three choices. They can either go back to where they came from, they can either move forward into the outer bailey, or they can move forward into the inner bailey. But if they move forward into the inner bailey, they'll just stop right there. Now, of course, because they understand that these two work by this principle, then they know that the inner bailey will also work on the same principle. And so what will happen then, hopefully, I'm hoping, is that they will go into the inner entrance here, and then they'll discover how does this thing function, and figure out that you can move portals around. And then they'll have to go into the outer bailey and do all the encounters around here to unlock stuff. And finally they get to the graveyard and then over to the temple and enter into the inner bailey here. And when they're in the inner bailey, right, they'll go over here, fight their way through everything around here, go to the graveyard, into the temple, get into the inner bailey, and then when they get over to this place, they can finally turn around these two dials on this inner bailey part and turn on this portal and move straight forward back and forth this way. So this here will firstly teach the players about the portal mechanics to help them understand, and it's a safe place for them to experiment on portals and what happens if we move this dial a little bit and this one a little bit, and what happens if we do this and that. But also it teaches them that, well, you have one way forward, but there's also a different way that will be a shortcut later. And you might wonder why I'm thinking that shortcuts and these things, why not just have the places open all the time? And the idea is because of, well, exploration, it requires time or time management, and I'll talk to you about it in the next episode. I'll talk to you about time management and how I want to solve that in my game. But the idea here is that let's say that the players will spend 8 hours exploring this castle. I'm just coming up with numbers here, but let's say 8 hours to do the castle, 8 hours to be in the refuge and the settlement and resupply and healing up, talking to and helping the NPCs and so on, doing all those things, and the rest 8 hours just to sleep. And so they'll effectively have 8 hours to move around in this castle. And so let's say that they are spending a lot of time to move to the keep right here. So moving all the way around here to the graveyard, to the temple. I mean, because first of all, this entrance here, it already has this gateway. So the first thing you have to do every morning is to walk up here, climb over this wall, and then move over here, right? I mean, that all alone takes like 10 minutes to do. So each and every time they'll have some sort of hindrance, right? So right here you'll have to maybe climb up some towers and some rotten planks just to move that gate from this position to this position, right? And that takes another half an hour and so on. And so all the way through here they'll spend, well, I'll say just 3 hours to move from here and get to the keep every day. And then they'll have 2 hours of exploring the keep, and then they'll spend 3 hours to move back. Now again, if they then would solve this here and create a shorter distance in between here, that would all automatically just remove all of this movement right here, and they'll be able to move from here to here in just maybe 1 hour, which again leads them to have 6 hours of exploring, and then 1 hour to get back. And even though and they can even do even better by hiring NPCs or to stand guard here, so that you will have 2 guards sitting at each of these dials, so that you don't have to spend half an hour to get to change this portal to this position or this position. You can just yell out, "Hello people, could you change this for us?" and then automatically move it, and then spend 1 minute to do it instead. And so using these efficiencies to make the traversal from one place to the other more efficient, that is helpful for exploration, because then again that means that you're understanding the different mechanics around here, and I don't have to reward players with only giving them loot or gold or something. I can actually reward them with shortcuts, and they'll be equally satisfied with getting a shortcut than getting, well, loot or whatever. And so yeah, this part here, making the dials be able to move the portal from here to here, and then just closing off this portal to the inner valley, that encounter alone is, well, it will really teach the players how to go forward in the game, and it will be a fun encounter. I won't go into more details like I did in the entrance video here. I won't do many more episodes and do all of this. I'll do that later in whenever I've, well, gone through more episodes, I guess, and more encounters, and just hammered them down into one large summary episode. So this is what I'm going to do today on this. Oh, I almost forgot. I haven't really decided yet, but maybe I'll put some rocks and some debris right here in front of this entrance, so that when these 2 dials try to focus on this wall, they hit the rocks and something, so that the portal ends up in the wrong position, and so you can't actually enter from this place. And so there's not only just one lock that hinders you, the closed inner bailey, that isn't the only lock that hinders you from entering. You actually have to move these rocks, and you can move them by filling up the canal with water and shoving the debris with water, which, as you can see here, this is the canal. And so if you are able to open up this canal and send water straight through here, then, well, you can open up this port right here. I'm not sure if I want to add it in, but it's a fun extra challenge if I find that I'm lacking challenges everywhere. Anyways, that's that for this episode. Next episode, I'll talk to you about time management and how you can get more exploration out of time management, and how I want to do time management in my role-playing game. And so yeah, again, if you give me 96 likes in any of my videos and any of my future videos, I will release video where I go through all of these 96 pages that I have around here, and well, if you don't, well, at least like, share and subscribe. So yeah, see you around.